Tairam students, let's begin with the today's session of Class 8 Political Science. Children, we are doing the revision of chapter number 6 of Political Science, that is understanding our criminal justice system. This is our second part of the revision of this chapter, okay? In our content, children, if you all remembered in the live session, we have completed with the introduction and what is the role of the police in investigating a crime. Then in today's session, we'll be learning the topics FIR, that is First Information Report, then what is the role of the public prosecutor, what is the role of the judge. But before starting with the FIR, let's just have a quick recap of role of the police in investigating a crime. See, in that we have seen the important function of the police is to investigate any complaint about the commission of a crime, right? Then police has to do the investigation. How that investigation will proceed? By recording the statements of the witnesses as well as by collecting different kinds of evidences, right? Then once the police think like the evidence that points to the guilt of the accused person, then what the police has to do? They have to file a charge sheet in the court. Then it is not the job of the police, right? We have seen that to decide whether a person is guilty or innocent. But finally, the judge will give the judgment, okay, after the court's proceedings. Then we have seen the police investigation always have to be conducted. It should be in accordance with the law and with full respect for human rights, right? Because police also has to work under the jurisdiction only. They cannot go out of that accordance with law. So they have to follow the rules that has been laid down in the Supreme Court. That is, the police must follow at the time of arrest, detention and interrogation. Then we have seen that police are not allowed to torture or beat anyone, right? Or to shoot anyone at the time of investigation. Then we saw the Article 22 in which the fundamental rights were given that were guaranteed to every arrested person, correct? Then now the next FIR, but before starting with the FIR, children, we will see the Supreme Court of India has laid down specific requirements and the procedures that the police and the other agencies have to follow for the arrest, detention and the interrogation of any person. So now let's see what is that. Like, these are the guidelines. These are known as the DK Basu guidelines, and some of these are the police officials who carry out the arrest or the interrogation should wear clear, accurate and visible identification and the name tags with their designations. Then the second important thing that is included there is a memo of arrest should be prepared at the time of arrest and should include the time as well as the date of arrest. It should also be attested by at least one witness. Now I hope you understood the meaning of witness. You know the meaning of witness very well, right? So it should be attested by at least one witness who could include a family member of the person arrested. Then the arrest memo should be countersigned by the person arrested. Then the next guideline, the person who has been arrested, detained or being interrogated. I hope you know the meaning of arrest, detention and interrogation very well, right? Has the right to inform a relative, friend or well-wisher. Then the fourth guideline that is given there, when a friend or relative lives outside the district, the time, place of arrest and venue of custody must be notified by police within 8 to 12 hours after arrest. So these are the guidelines that has been given in the DK Basu's guidelines, okay? Now the next one we are going to see, that is FIR, that is First Information Report. See, it is with the registration of an FIR. You all would have heard this always, FIR. When someone goes to the police station, right? The very first thing they have to file an FIR, registration of an FIR, that the police can begin their investigations into a crime. After registering, after the FIR only the police will begin their work. The law states that it is compulsory for an officer in charge of a police station to register an FIR whenever a person gives information about a cognizable offense. If any offense has happened, that is like the law has already stated that it is compulsory for an officer in charge of a police station to register that FIR. Okay. So this information, this FIR can be given to the police either orally or in writing also. So it can be in any form. The FIR usually, what it contains, let's see that. It usually mentions the date, time and place of the offense. You know the meaning of offense very well, correct? So all these things should be mentioned in the FIR. That means the date, time and the place of the offense. It details the basic facts of the offense, including a description of the events. So all these things should be included in FIR. If known, the identity of the accused persons and witnesses is also mentioned. If it is known, so the identity of the witnesses as well as the person who is accused can also should also be written in that. The FIR also states the name and the address of the complainant. The person who is complaining that FIR, who is lodging that FIR, his name as well as the address should be written in that FIR. There is a prescribed form in which the police registers an FIR and it is signed by the complainant. Okay. So like see, we all know very well, for each and everything we have the prescribed format of that form is always given for filling up. Similarly, while registering an FIR, also a prescribed form, like the details are written in that, the details are to be filled up properly and it is signed by the complainant. The complainant also has a legal right to get a free copy of the FIR from the police. So this is also like complainant also should have that copy of the FIR. Free copy should be given to them. Okay, they will not be charged anything for that. So this is like what we have seen about the FIR, that is first information report. Then the next topic, children, we are going to see here is what is the role of the public prosecutor. Let's begin with this topic. A criminal offense is regarded as a public wrong, right? Criminal offense means you understand it very well, right? That is, it is always wrong to have to do some crime, correct? So what is meant by this is it is considered to have been committed not only against the affected victims but against society as a whole. See children, that criminal offense that has been considered, it is like it has been told that it is not only the crime that has been committed against the affected victim but also the society. It is committed against the whole society, right? So in court, it is the public prosecutor who represents the interest of the state. See children, it is like when it has been connected to the society as a whole. We have seen the examples based on that case of the Lakshman and his family. That was given as stated as the that case itself was called as the state versus Lakshman Kumar and others, because the state, the Delhi administration themselves was supporting that. So that was given as the state versus Lakshman Kumar and others. Similarly, we have seen the case of Shanti, right, that maid servant. So that case has been told as the state versus Shanti Hemram and not Mrs. Shinde versus Shanti Hemram. It is like whole state has been connected in that. So in court, it is the public prosecutor who represents the interest of the state. Now, what is the role of the prosecutor here? The role of the prosecutor begins once the police has conducted the investigation and filed the charge sheet in the court. See, we have learned in the role of the police very well, like first the police has to do the investigation, then in investigation also what is there, we have seen that police has to record the statements of the witnesses, correct, and then they have to find out the evidences related to that. Then finally, once they feel yes, now the evidences have been collected, they will file a charge sheet in the court, and then only the role of the prosecutor will begin after that. The role of the prosecutor begins once the police has conducted the investigation and filed the charge sheet in the court. The prosecutor then prosecutor has to play the important role there. The prosecutor must conduct the prosecution on behalf of the state. See, once the role of the prosecutor begins after the charge sheet is filed, right? Otherwise, without that investigation, he has no role to play in that. Okay, investigation process is done by the police, but after the charge sheet, the prosecutor has to begin his work. The first thing, the prosecutor must conduct the prosecution. It means he is doing that prosecution on behalf of the state. As an officer of the court, it is his or her duty to act impartially and present the full and the material facts, witnesses, and evidence before the court to enable the court to decide the case. See, the very first thing, prosecutor will begin his role once the charge sheet has been filed, right? Then public prosecutor represents the interest of the state. We have seen that, correct? The public prosecutor must conduct the prosecution, that means the legal proceedings of the court, okay, on behalf of the state. Then as an officer of the court, it is his or her duty to act impartially. Like they need to be partial to, impartially means without any partiality, and present the full and the material facts, whatever they have collected, whatever that public prosecutor, that officer has collected, that person, he has to present everything in the same way only. He has to present the same full and the material facts in the court proceedings and witnesses as well as evidence before the court, so that the court can decide the case very well. So impartially public prosecutor has to work here. Okay, so this is the role of the public prosecutor. Then the next is the role of the now, what is the role of the judge? See, you have seen that public prosecutor, defense lawyer, then police, everybody works. But finally, who is the one to give you the judgment there? Now, the judge is like an umpire in the game and conducts trial impartially and in an open court. See, similarly, as public prosecutor has to show all the evidences and witnesses that he has collected in the court impartially, okay, like without any partiality. Similarly, the judge is also like an umpire and he has to conduct the trial impartially, okay, in an open court in front of everyone. See, the judge hears all the witnesses. You all have seen in the movies and in the so many serials also, like how the proceedings of the courts takes place, correct? The judge hears all the witnesses and any other evidence presented by the prosecution and the defense, correct? So the evidences that they have collected, the witnesses that they have collected by the prosecution and the defense, they will be called in the court proceedings and they will talk there in the court proceedings, and then the finally judge has to hear everyone, witnesses, as well as judge has to go through the evidences also that is given by the prosecution and the defense. Then the judge decides whether the accused person is guilty or innocent on the basis of the evidence that has been presented and in accordance with the law. Finally, going through all the witnesses, hearing to all the witnesses and going through all the evidences that have been given in the court proceedings, judge has to go through all these things very well. Then judge has to decide at the end whether the accused person, on the basis of that evidences, on the basis of that witnesses, whether the accused person is guilty or innocent. Okay, and then even judge has to work in accordance with the law, right? See, I told you, as the police cannot show a favoritism to anyone. If a person belongs to the wealthier family, so it means that person will FIR will not be filed against that person. It is not like that. Similarly, here also the judge has to work in accordance with the law. If the accused is convicted, then the judge pronounces the sentence. Pronounces the sentence means once if that person has been found guilty, the judge has to, if that person is declared, judge has to give the punishment according to the crime that that person has done. So he may send a person to jail, or he means judge can send the person to jail. See, I told you it is according to the crime that person has done. Okay, So either that person may be sent to the jail, or a fine will be imposed on him, or both the things will be happening, depend on what the law prescribes there. Okay, so this is what we have seen the role of the judge. So ultimate decision is taken after the court proceedings. Okay, the accused person who was arrested by the police, after the court proceedings, only the judge will decide whether the person is guilty or innocent, right? And that too on the basis of the evidences that has been presented against that accused person in the court. Okay, so your children, we have completed with the topic, what is the role of the judge? So children, in today's session, we have seen the topic here. First, we saw about the DK Basu's guidelines, correct? Then we have gone through the first information report, that is FIR. Then you have learned the topic, what is the role of the public prosecutor. Then the last, we have seen the what is the role of the judge. And the last topic of the chapter is remaining, children, that is what is a fair trial. That the last topic we'll be doing in the live session. Okay, so till then, go through this presentation very well and understand the role of the judge, the role of the public prosecutor, and what is the meaning of that FIR and how it should be registered. Okay, so see you in the next session with the last topic of our chapter. Till then, children, take very good care of your health.